Hello, and welcome to the Dr. Hines YouTube channel. I go by the name of Dr. Hines, and thank you so much for joining me today. Over here, we serve nothing but the source, nothing but the source. For those that are not returning and are new viewers to the channel, we have been covering Jonathan Major's case since the arrest happened, and we not just this trial that we have covered. We have also covered that we heard on here, as well as the Tory Lanez case, which you can find in the description below. But in regards to the Jonathan Major case, as we have said, we have covered this case from since the arrest. We have also covered the trial, and today we're going to be doing the transcript read to get a sense of what was going on in that courtroom when it was going on, when the trial was happening. So this is kind of a way to fact check everyone that has been reporting on this case in terms of the media and how they have been presenting this case. And yeah, and of course you can find all of our coverage on the card once this live is over, and I put it in there. You can find a playlist on there where you can go and revisit all of these coverages that we've done on the channel. So for today, we are going to be reading two transcripts, and that would be Grace Jabbari herself, and we're also going to be looking at Holly Blakey and her testimony. For those that don't know, Holly Blakey is Grace Jabbari's friend, the individual that she was messaging on the day of the incident, the 25th. No, well, the day of the incident was the 24th, but the 25th was the next day before the police came. She was the one who Grace was messaging, and essentially was sending her the pictures of her injuries before the police had arrived. So that's who Holly Blakey is, and we're going to be going through her testimony and what she was testifying in court. So I'm not going to spend too long on this stream. I'm going to try and keep these streams to under an hour and 30 minutes. So I'm going to do my best to do that, and I'm going to do my best to speed through whilst also delivering the most insight that I could, if it's to bring a bit more information out that I may know about this. And also at the same time, I will be referring back to the previous streams that we've done in terms of what Danny has been saying in regards to these individuals' testimonies, and just see how accurate they have been. So let's begin without further ado. But before we begin, forgot to do the YouTube things. Make sure you like this video and share it as well with your friends. And of course, do not forget to subscribe to the channel for more updates in what we're doing. But most importantly, share it so that other people can see what is going on today's stream. So we're going to go right into it, and we're going to be looking at Holly Blakey's testimony, or we're going to start with her direct testimony. So let's go. Right here. So this is Holly Blakey. Like I said, we're gonna go into Grace Jabbari's afterwards, but right now we are looking at Holly Blakey. And yeah, I did spell her name wrong. It was Blakely that I spelled it, but I did spell her name wrong, but it's Blakey. So for those that are joining us right now, we just got the introductions out of the way. Make sure you are in the right place to go through this transcript with me. So without further ado, let's begin. It goes on to say, yeah, do us a favor. I know this is nerve-wracking, but if you could just speak as loudly as you can into the microphone. So the prosecution was basically doing a direct examination of Holly Blakey. This was the judge giving giving the witness, Holly Blakey in this case, a quick rundown of what's going to happen. And this is the assistant DA Galloway, who's going to be doing the questioning. So he says, "Good morning, Miss Blakey. Would you like to introduce yourself to the jury? My name is Holly Blakey. I'm from London." I'm not going to do that accent. It's going to sound cringy, y'all. Yeah, so it's like, where are you currently living? She's living in Camden. That's north. I believe it's north. Are you originally from the UK? Yeah. And you said you had two children. How old are they? Winter is nearly 1, and she's tiny, and Owen is will be 5 in March. So she has children of her own, and it shows you kind of, well, the maturity level, and it's kind of speaking to what Danny and Katt were speaking about in the previous stream that we were on, in regards to how Grace may be with and Holly and Grace's relationship. So I think it's important. Oh yeah. Also for note, Holly Blakey is also that after she had gone through this trial, she went on Instagram and posted a picture in support of Grace Jabbari, saying whatever she was saying. But based on what we went through the stream yesterday and reading through Officer 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 Swain's testimony and going through the body cam footage and all of that, it's still fun. It's still to me very strange that she was messaging Holly. That's one. She being Grace. It's still strange to me that Grace was messaging Holly, the pictures, sending her the pictures, etc. Which is, it's a bit out there because again, she was found unconscious in the room. It's still weird to me how that was possible within 13 minutes. But anyway, we're gonna continue, because obviously she's not that drunk. I don't know. I don't know. I tried giving her the benefit of the doubt in the previous streams to basically say that she could have been waking up days, going back in and out of sleep, but she was taking pictures, so she was active. So how she broke down again is beyond me. Karen Silva, thank you so much for joining. She's got bad connection. It's all good on my end. I hope your connection does improve. But thank you for joining, Karen Silva. Well, happy to see you again. She's from London herself. Okay, so they ask her. ADA asked her, "What do you do for a living?" She said, "I'm a choreographer." Can you explain to what that entails to the members of the jury? Just makeup dances. How long have you been doing that? I've danced all my life. I've been choreographing since I was about 23. I'm 36 now. That's very important because Grace is 29. So again, he's gonna speak to most likely going to speak to what Danny and Katt were talking about earlier, and the type of friendship and the type of relationship that Grace and Holly do share. So, going to say, did you receive any professional training to become a choreographer? Yeah, I did a BA in dance. Where did you get your BA from? At Roehampton University in London. I don't know. Did there come a time when you met a woman named Grace? Yes. When was that? That was in 2015. She was auditioning for me. What was your relationship when you first met her in 2015? I was doing a show in a gallery that was a later piece that toured. She was a dancer in the show. How did your relationship progress over time? We kept working together since then, actually. So we stayed very, very close, working together really continually from then until now. When you say really close, do you mean professionally? I mean professionally and personally. How long have you been personal friends? Maybe a month or two after we met, I guess. Did there come a time where you met a man by the name of Jonathan Majors? She said yes. How did you meet him? I first met him when I was doing a screening at the South Bank Centre in London. One second. Of a film I had made with an artist I was working with. Grace was in the film, and he came to see it. I'm really intrigued to know what film that was. Now, do you know approximately when that was? I was pregnant with Winter, so I think, and it was lockdown. So it may be 2.5. No, it wasn't lockdown. It may be 2.5 years ago, something like that. Did you have an opportunity to speak with the defendants? Only briefly that time. What was your impression at that time? Sweet, very sweet, charming. Objection, you don't want that, or you want to withdraw that? Yes, I'm sorry. I got a gesture and I jumped up. All right, I think that objection is withdrawn. You can answer the question. Very, very sweet and charming person. And in what context did you meet him? In the lobby at South Bank Center where the screening was? Where him and Jabbari, Miss Jabbari, in a relationship? Yes. Okay. Did there come a time where you met him again? Yes, a few times. So this must have been when they met in 2000, because she said this was lockdown. So that would be, lockdown was 2020. Memory serves, actually. No, memory is not served. No. Yeah, 2020, March 2020. So this one's been August. They would have been locked down in August when they first met. But then again, that's August 2021. That's what Grace testified to. So but yeah, she did show signs that her memory wasn't that sharp in the running area. So I'll give her a blight for that. But were they in a relationship? Yeah, okay. Maybe not, maybe. Yeah. One time Jonathan came to my, did they come? Yes, a few times. Did they come a time when you met him again? Yes, a few times. When was that? One time Jonathan came to my house for dinner with Gracie. And how were him and Miss Jabbari interacting when you saw him at dinner? Very in love, very close, answering, finishing each other's sentences, very loving, very, very exciting, to be with one another. Do you know approximately when that dinner was? I think it would have been, again, I was pregnant with Winter, so it would have been maybe only a month or two after the first time we had met. So yeah, 2.5, maybe years ago, something like that. Without getting into the substance of any conversations, would Ms. Jabbari ever ever speak with you about the details of their relationship? Yes. And did you have an opportunity to spend time with Ms. Jabbari through the course of her relationship with the defendants? Yes. How frequently did you see her throughout the course of their relationship? A lot, because we were working together. What, if any, changes did you notice as the relationship progressed with Ms. Jabbari? I would say the first few months were great, and then over time, I would say she lost a lot of weight. It was the first thing I noticed. She became much thinner, and she saw her friends a lot less. Can you explain what you mean by that? She very, objection, Your Honor. This witness doesn't have personal knowledge of that. Were you one of the friends she saw a lot? Were you one of the friends she saw a lot less? That's what the judge asked Holly. She's sorry. Just ask her about her relationship with Miss Blakey, or whether or not she saw Miss Blakey a lot less. They're just saying sustained. I understand. Just re-ask the question. Thank you. So, how did your relationship with Miss Jabbari change over time? I'm not part of necessarily a part of Gracie's friendship group. It's sort of separate. I love her friends, but more just we have our own relationship, which has most likely been guided by our working relationship. And so I definitely saw her a lot. I saw her a lot because we were working together. And sometimes she might come and help me with me kids, my kids. I meant them. Well, English accent. So me kids after rehearsal, things like that. So I still saw her. I would say, yeah, that's an English accent. Me kids. So yeah. Did you notice any change or withdrawn? Did you observe any changes in Miss Jabbari's demeanor throughout the course of the relationship? I remember that she would be in the house a lot more, for example, where they lived, going out less, working less, seeming to have less interest in herself. That's very strange, because it's important to know that they do have a working relationship. She established that. She also established that the friendship circles that her and Grace shared they share separate friendship circles. It's important because I can kind of see the angle that she's going at here. I don't know. So everything that I'm reading now at this point is again, my commentary is my opinion, but I'm just reading this and I'm seeing that it's possible that they were not that close and just had a working relationship. So is this indicative of anything? I have no idea. I wouldn't think so, because again, she has already established that, they had a working relationship. Less going out less and working less, seeming less interest in herself. Well, from the audios, we know she went out, and we know she, so again, I don't know what she means. Could you explain? Could you explain what you mean by that? She was working a lot less, and she's someone who is very driven and has a lot of energy in her life. And I think I saw a lot of that disappear. Okay. When you said she was going out less, was she going out less with you? We didn't, well, we weren't really going out at all. Objection, Your Honor, this witness clearly has no personal knowledge. So they sustained the objection. Move on to the next question. Says, directing your attention to the day of March 25th, 2023. Do you remember where you were? So yes, I was at home. And you said home in London area? Home is in London, in Camden, yeah. What were your plans for that morning? I had been walking my kids. Walking your kids? Are they dogs or something? Okay. I've been walking my I can go, yeah. You could. I've been walking my kids. The kids I took to our son to a birthday, and I took Winter, the little one, home to have lunch and nap her. Okay. What happened next? I always do the same thing. So I remember I did her lunch at 11:30 and went downstairs to change her and get her ready for nap, which is around 12. We live upside down, so the bedrooms are downstairs and the kitchen is upstairs. If that helps make sense of it. No, it doesn't. And I changed Winter, and then I had missed calls and then text message from Gracie's saying, "Can you call me, please?" I've never been to a house where the upstairs is kitchen and downstairs is bedroom. I don't know. I've never been there. That sounds foreign to me. Anyway, it says, and what time approximately did you first notice those messages? Just as a point of clarity, 12 midday London time. So, and what did you do after receiving those text messages? I text Gracie back saying something like, "Can't talk. I'm struggling with Winter," something like that. And I said, "If it's urgent, say yes, and I'll be there." But then it was at the point I realized if it was 12 o'clock in London, it must be 7 or 8 a.m. Again, I gotta go to that message. Let me go to that TMZ message. Okay, so I remember this just pinged into my head right now. Is that the first thing I remember right now is a TMZ message. So I'm gonna go try and get that up right now. But in the meantime, as I'm doing that, please share this stream. Please share this stream with your friends and let them know that we are currently live streaming. Reading the code transcript of what went on in court that day is very important. But yeah, thank you so much for all those that are here right now. I do appreciate you for joining us and going through this transcript read with us. So I'm gonna go back to the stream. I'm gonna go back to the text messages here, and basically, I'm not sure if you can see that, but basically, yeah, let me go to that one right there. So this is the text messages. Let me try and zoom in. Not sure if you can see that, but if you can see here, I don't know what time that was sent, but again, Jonathan was obviously messaging at 8:58. So according to Ollie, they were in communication at 8 a.m. UK time. So 8:58 would be 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock UK time. So Holly would be asleep. So the reason why I'm saying, or why I'm bringing this part out, is because she must have woke up to this text message. If that's not clear, I think she woke up to this text message, and she is just basically replying with what she replied with. But yeah, so she knows them at 12 midday. So must have been 11, 7 or 8. So again, the police in New York arrived at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. She didn't send the pictures because they did establish she was messaging Holly, Grace being she. Grace was messaging Holly 13 minutes before the cops arrived, and they took the pictures. So this was, from what Holly is saying here, this is a good 2 hours before those text messages transpired. That's when she first realized, or that's when she first received the messages from Grace, is what I'm picking up here. So that's very important to note, because that 2 hours is crucial, in my opinion. So if she knows that 2 o'clock is when the arrest likely happened, to 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock UK time. So in the US, that will be 11 to 10 o'clock. Evening, Lou. Thank you so much for joining the stream. I'm going through this. If you're just joining right now, you can feel free to rewind, or you can just speed up, and or you can stay live right here. But you can rewind to the 6th or the 7th minute, I believe. That should start with the transcript reading. So we're gonna go back to this. So he says, I change Winter and put her straight in a crib for a nap. I went upstairs and I called Gracie before she had time to message me back. Even I did it quickly. Soundwave Chronicles, thank you so much for joining us on the stream. I appreciate you. You can call me Emerton as well. I mean, the L is really silent, so so you can, Emerton is fine. I appreciate that. So he says, approximately how long after seeing that text did you put her to bed? Just less than 10 minutes. So it goes on to say, did there come a time when you were able to speak with Miss Jabbari? Yes, she answered the phone. Again, that's why I had to put down that the timing is very important, because this is 2 hours before she was supposedly found collapsed in the hospital. Again, going back to the time, this is 12 o'clock New York. Sorry, London. Sorry, not New York, London. Eastern would be 7 or 8 o'clock. As she put here, that would be the time. So if you are on the phone with her at this point, like talking on the phone with her, when did she become unconscious? Like, what actually happened within those 2 hours? Jonathan wasn't there. There's ample proof he was well away from Grace. So how did she end up in a state that she was in with the police? Let's carry on reading. Approximately how long was that conversation? I was on the phone, on and off the phone to Gracie for hours and hours, actually. How long the first conversation was, I can't remember specifically, but I was calling every 10 to 20 minutes for quite a lot of hours. I know you said there were multiple phone calls, so going to the first phone call, without getting into the substance of the conversation, can you explain what Ms. Jabbari's tone of voice was? She sounded like I've never heard her before, very quiet, quite wrecked. She sounded like she was in shock, very upset, she was crying. Note, people do cry when there's a breakup. People are in shock when when you have to chase them across around the road to try and get your phone off them. That can be very shocking for some people, because they expected that they would stay and talk to you, but for some reason they were running off down the street. That can be shocking. That can leave you upset. That can leave you in so much mixed emotions, because you are feeling it's over. Not necessarily that abuse had occurred and you are now scared for your life, because that's what the prosecution was trying to establish with this witness. Moving on, have you ever observed Ms. Jabbari like that previously? Never previously, no. You said she was crying. Were you able to understand what she was telling you? Yes, it was a coherent conversation? And can you explain how, if at all, Ms. Jabbari's demeanor or better tone changed throughout the phone? Her tone didn't really change throughout the phone call, and I mean, not necessarily. She was very upset at first, but like I said, it was a lot of hours of being on the phone. And I think further toward the end, around sort of 3 or 4, when I managed to kind of persuade her to get up and try to get out of the house. So 3 or 4 would be 3 o'clock, would be 10 o'clock. You know what? Let me just double check that. Time zone app, work clock. So if I was to do, so right now my current time is 9 o'clock. So let me go back up. So 3 o'clock UK time would be 10:30 New York. Well, it's 9:30 now, so it's to be 10:30 New York time. So 3 o'clock here. 3 o'clock here would be 10:30. This was before Jonathan even stepped in the scene. So they were talking on the phone, as she has testified to, for hours and hours. Guys, how did she become unconscious lying on the floor? I take back, if everything she's saying is true, if everything Blakey is saying is true, I take back everything, the benefit of the doubt and the devil's advocacy that I was saying earlier on in the stream, to say, oh, you can wake up and be dazed and go back to sleep. That can happen. I take it back. It's not possible. Based on what I'm reading, it has to be, I hate to even entertain the thought, but it has to be staged in some way. Karen De Silva says he has done an interview. He would be Jonathan Majors. Yes, he has. He has an interview. I will be reacting to that. I'll be reacting to that maybe tomorrow or Wednesday. I'm gonna let it. I have already spoken about it on a friend of mine's streams, stream, and that's Dre Mac. So you can get most of my thoughts there. I personally, unless I really have an angle that I really want to go on, and really speak on that interview, I won't just yet. I really have to gather my thoughts and see how to approach it so that I can give you kind of a unique voice around it, or a unique take. But if I have, at the moment, I don't have anything to say, but I will be getting around to it. So going back to the transcript, basically, Zuckerman did object. I'm guessing it will be hearsay, and that was sustained, and the answer was stricken. So I guess the answer here must have been that, must have been trying to, it would have been hearsay. It would have been prejudicial, because it's basically, but again, like I said, it doesn't help our case, but it is stricken from the record. And the first phone call, was there any difficulty hearing what she was saying? No. Was she responsive to your questions? Yeah. Have you previously been around Ms. Jabbari when she was injured? Yeah. And what, if any, differences present on March 5th, 25th to the previous times I have seen it when she's injured something? Yes. It's more in a dancing context. She danced with injuries, bad injuries, broken rib, and so in a way, it was just an entirely emotional landscape. It was different, right? Can you explain what you mean by that? Meaning that she was she sounded very broken, very traumatized person. Objection. Move to strike. No, that will stand. That was a recollection of the voice. Not okay. That answer will stand. Traumatized. Okay. Okay. And could you explain what you referred to do? I mean, in terms of expert testimony, I can see, because she's not really an expert. How could you? Okay, maybe traumatized, but again, how could you ascertain that she was injured on the phone or something like that? You're not an expert witness or some, but anyway, the judge lays down. So moving on, and you could explain to what you referred to with broken rib. First, were you present for that? I think listen, I don't want to say anything that isn't perfect memory, but I am pretty sure it was one of my shows where she had a fractured rib that she danced in. Yeah. And in your experience, What did you mean by the fact that she sounded traumatized? Could you explain what that means in tone of voice? Yes. Objection. She's not an expert, so what would she know about that? Okay. What, if anything, did Ms. Jabbari do while on the phone with you in the first phone call? Objection sustained. Oh, Lord. What happened during the first phone call? She told me that there had been a fight sustained, stricken from the record. So I'm guessing she probably went into more. I'm guessing she probably went into more details of what happened in that fight and what she was told, and then that was stricken because I can't see it. Go ahead. It says, okay, approximately what time do you remember receiving receiving these messages? 12 o'clock. So that's 8 a.m. That's 12 o'clock UK time, and that's 8 a.m. in the US. Evening, random girl. Welcome to the stream. I appreciate you for joining us. Don't forget to share this stream. Don't forget to like as well. Please help us get the algorithm so that people can see us. If you're just joining us right now, please, if you want to, do go back and watch from the 6th or the 7th minute, I believe. But right now we're going through the direct examination of Grace Jabbari's friend and dance not gonna say instructor, I don't know, choreographer, Holly Blakey, and we're gonna go to Grace Jabbari after this. So yeah, make sure that you share the stream and let your friend know, let everyone know, and of course, don't forget to subscribe and like this stream. Let's move on. I'm showing you what is in evidence as People's Exhibit 14. Your Honor, this is an exhibit that she's asking about. They are in evidence, but these aren't the first messages. These are the next set, just so we're clear. Ms. Galloway says, I haven't asked about the exhibit yet, but these are in evidence. That's correct, but the question was just the first messages. All right. Just to be clear as to, yes, People's 14 evidence being shown to the witness, Ms. Jabbari. What is People's, Ms. Jabbari, what is People's Exhibit 14? Sorry? What is People's Exhibit? What is this? This is a photo of two photos of Gracie, Ms. Jabbari's hand, and the back. I think she was confused because she called Holly Miss Jabbari. I think that's why she was confused at first. But it is what it is. But anyway, it says, is this a fair and accurate depiction of the photographs you received? That this is exactly what I received whilst I was on the phone to her. And there was another photo as well. So she did not, it's important to establish, because 12 o'clock, she said that she received the first messages, right? That's why Priya had to set it straight in the record that this is not representative of the first messages, because those first messages was likely them talking. They were on the phone after that, because remember, Holly had testified that she had rebuffed her to take care of her kid, and she had put her to the side for a bit, and then they started having phone calls, because and I'm guessing Grace is doing what she does best, which is hound, which was okay. Maybe that's not a fair characterization. So she would message a lot. She would message Holly a lot, and they eventually got onto the phone and they started talking on the phone. And when she was talking on the phone, she sent the messages. These messages in my the pictures, by the way, sorry, not messages, pictures. These pictures, I believe, would have been sent at 10 o'clock Eastern, or 10 or 11. Sorry, yeah, 10 or 10:30, as she said earlier. That's most likely when she may have received it. Okay. And you say that you spoke multiple times. Yes. Approximately how much time to your memory had passed before you spoke to her with her the first time? How much time passed? 20 minutes. So they were on the phone for 20 minutes. Oh, they were on the phone. That's a long time. The reason why I say that is because, again, how are you passed out in the closet, but yet you are on the phone for 20 minutes? Again, this is not even, going back to the interview now, I can actually understand why Jonathan said, yeah, based on even the prosecution's evidence, because this is their evidence. This is Grace's, no, not Grace, Holly's testimonial evidence. Based on the evidence, how could she had been passed out and been affected by this ordeal so much that the state in which the police had found her in, that she was traumatized to a point that she didn't want to see Jonathan, that she said to the police that he strangled me, that she said to that he choked her. This is what the police testified to, and hit her in the back of the head. How did that happen? Because they've, again, on the camera, they found out passed out, but she's on the phone for 20 minutes beforehand. Okay. And why did you call her again? Because I was objection sustained. Maybe lead it a little bit. So rephrase it. So the court is, that's the judge. Did you call Miss Jabbari again? I was calling at her every 20 minutes to try and get her out of the apartment. And why did you want her to get out of the apartment? Objection sustained. Miss Blakey, do you remember the time that you texted? Did there come a time when you texted Miss Jabbari again after she sent these photographs? Yes. Do you remember approximately what time that was? I was messaging her constantly. If I had my phone, I could, but I was messaging her constantly. Would text message screenshots refresh your recollection? Yes, please. Handing to the witness, Miss Blakey. So the judge says, Miss Blakey, what we are going to do is you're going to go to be shown documents. Just look at them. When you see those documents, just look at them, read them to yourself, and see if they refresh your recollection. Okay. So I may have added the okay because the judge didn't say that. Okay. So he says, so I can see here that she objection. It's all right. Just when you read, so the judge says to the witness again, it's all right. Just when you read all of them to yourself, if it refreshes your recollection, just tell us yes. Then you'll be asked another question by Ms. Galway. I said, okay, ask me the question. Does it refresh your recollection? Yes. Approximately what time did you send the text message, if you did? I was on the phone to her. She sent me the photographs. I would have stayed on the phone to her for quite a long time. Objection, non-responsive, overruled. You could answer that. Then I called her again. I wait. Is there anything that will refresh your recollection as to when you called her again? I mean, it doesn't say it's on here about my calling her, but I was calling her all the time. But I could see I'm messaging her all the time as well. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get this correct. No, it's fine. Did you tell anyone that you have received these photographs of Miss Jabbari's? Objection, maybe hearsay, sustained. To your understanding, where was Miss Jabbari located when she took those photographs? Objection, this is most likely speculation. And then the judge says, if in bed, because I could see the duvet. So she was in bed taking the pictures. Okay, fair enough. So how did she get sick on her bed? Did she not realize it's sick at the time? Was she actually lying sick? Okay, moving on. And approximately, I know you might not know, but approximately how many times did you speak with Ms. Jabbari over the course of the morning? I was on the phone to her constantly. I would leave gaps of 20 to 30 minutes, about 4 to 5 hours. What was your emotional state during that 4 to 5 hour period? Objection sustained. That would be speculative. Was Ms. Jabbari responding to these phone calls that you were, yes, sending? And when you spoke with her, what was her tone of voice throughout the day? Objection. Our tone of voice was objection when throughout the day. Correct, Your Honor, but there is a giant gap. Are you asking, did it change? Did the tone of voice change throughout throughout the day? That's what the judge said. Ms. Galloway, assistant DA, says yes. If you could ask it that way, absolutely. Thank you. I'm just gonna read this chat here. Thank you so much, random girl. She says maybe Grace Jabbari was in A Christmas Carol 2020. That's the only thing that was the only movie before 2023. Good point. I'll make sure to check that out. I'll definitely make sure to check that out because I want to see this girl's acting prowess. If she is in the movie with Jonathan, I think that's what she said. They were in the movie together, so it'll be interesting to see that. Going back to the transcript, it says here, I would say maybe later in the day. She was packing her things. She objection, that's not responsive. She just asked the question again, just as to the voice. No, just let her ask the question again, Miss Galway. So yeah, so that was a judge saying that's not responsive. Miss Galway, the DA says, did Miss Jabbari's tone of voice change in the phone calls compared to when you first spoke with her and when you spoke with her later? A small amount. Can you explain what you mean by that? She potentially had a bit more get up and go towards the end of the conversation. Could you explain what you mean by that phrase to the member of the jury? It took me a very long time to persuade her. Objection. I know this is hard, but just the tone of voice. Just describe that as it goes on. That's sustained. So that will be most likely will be hearsay. um describe the tone of voice describe the tone of a voice over how it changed from extremely crying to not extremely crying. Thank you. Yeah, did there come a time when Ms. Jabbari stop responding to your messages? No, not really. So Ms. Jabbari continued to speak with you throughout the day? Yes. What, if anything, did you do in response to reviewing additional messages from Ms. Jabbari? Objection sustained. Not speculation, but either relevance or facts not in evidence. But again, they don't write the objections down, so it's hard for me to actually understand what they're trying to say here. So I'm just quickly changing the title as we speak, so that it can maybe so that I can give myself a bit of chance with the algorithm. So change the title to Jonathan Majors. Right, going back to the to the transcript again. Thank you everyone for rocking with me today, and thank you for your patience as I'm trying to get acquainted with this. So it says, were you able to understand what Ms. Jabbari was telling you on the phone? Objection, asked and answered, overruled. Would you repeat the question? That's what what's her face? Holly said to the prosecutor, says, yes, were you able to understand what Ms. Jabbari was telling you when you were on the phone with her? Yes, nothing further. So they rest nothing much. I would say they get this witness reading through this transcript, in my honest opinion, this seems to me like more like a defense witness, because if you're trying to establish that these injuries could not have been caused by Majors, I think she done it right here. So I'm really going to be interested to see how Priya, or I believe Priya is going to handle this. All right, Miss Chaudhry, I'm sorry, one of our jurors or several jurors need a bathroom break. Danny mentioned this in the stream that we done. So it's very interesting that again, Danny has been on point with this, and that's why I love going through this, because the fact check is now factual, that she did not leave anything out, she did not make anything up, she's not this fangirl that everyone has been trying to make her out to be. She's been reporting accurately this case. This is so it says anyway. It seems innocuous, but I'm glad that she shared that information, because you can see what she was seeing in court. All right, so members of the jury, what you would do, you be excused for a few moments. One of the members of the jury need a bathroom break, but you're not to discuss your testimony with anybody. Okay, so they return. Thank you, witnesses exiting, may I approach? And then they were talking in the sidebar. All right, basically what we just said at the sidebar is Miss Chaudhry doesn't think she will be that long, but I don't know, so I figured we had better take a break. So as soon as our officers come back, we'll take a quick break, and then we'll continue with the testimony. And all the instructions that I gave you are still in effect. Obviously, do not discuss the case among themselves with anybody else. If anybody does seek to approach you to discuss the case, notify your officers immediately, and do not read any press accounts about the case. And lastly, do not make any determination about the case until you've heard all the evidence, including the summations and my charge. Okay, we'll break for a few minutes. All rise, jury exiting. Blah 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 blah. All rise, they're gone back in. They be seated. The clerk, they're going through the formalities. Okay, yes. All right. If you could bring the witnesses back, because they just checked that the jury is seated and ready. Says, be advised, you're still on the oath, etc. So this is the cross-examination that we're now going into. Priya Chaudhary is handing the cross-examination of Holly Blakey. So let's go. Says, she says, good afternoon, Miss Blakey. You and I never met before, have we? No. Isn't it true that the district attorney's office has paid for your flights from England to the New York in order to testify in this case? Yes. And they've also paid for a hotel for you? Yes. To stay in New York? Yes. And they have also offered you per diem to cover any meals or expenses here? Yes. I have to save some receipts? Yes. To be quite fair, this is, I mean, I remember when I was a witness at a case, a murder case, and I didn't testify, but my transport was still paid for, except that it was reimbursed. Again, this is in the UK, so I know I can. So while I do appreciate the differences in the system, I would think this is formal. This is like a normality. I mean, so I'm kind of a bit wondering why this line of question is coming up, but we'll move on. Says, and how many nights have you been staying for this? I've stayed 3 nights. And you are a close friend of Miss Jabbari, correct? Correct. And you care about her, correct? Correct. By the way, I will speak about that case in a stream one day. Because I know some of you may be thinking, murder case, how did you get him? How did you even it's a long story. I didn't witness the murder, by the way, just well, I didn't, but I knew the people involved, so I was just a character witness, if that makes sense. But most likely, but I didn't get testified, so it doesn't really mean anything. But I do know that my travel expenses were taken care of. Anyway, moving on. It says, and you've known very well since 2015, correct? Yes. And you were aware that Ms. Jabbari drinks alcohol, correct? Objection. I will allow the question. Go ahead. Does she drink alcohol? Yes. Yes. You have seen her hungover, correct? Objection as irrelevant. Sustained. I think that's very relevant. Anyway, moving on. I mean, they let an audio in of her saying as much. I mean, it's very relevant because that audio does actually express her being. Never mind. Miss Blakey, that morning, March 25th, which was the afternoon in the UK, you testified on direct that it was a coherent conversation. Is that right? Yeah, it was a coherent conversation as you were talking on the phone. Yeah, and is that? Yeah, it was a coherent as you were talking on the phone. Yeah, okay. And is that still your testimony that it was a coherent conversation? Yeah. Ms. Blakey, isn't it true that on June 16th you had a phone call with the district attorney's office on that phone call where Miss Galloway and a paralegal from their office, Leah Giadi, did I have a phone call with them on June 2016? Yes. Yeah. And I can't remember the dates, but I'm sure if it was, if you were saying, so that's correct. And isn't it true that during the phone call you were discussing the district attorney's this exact conversation with Ms. Jabbari on the morning of March 25th? Yeah. And it's important for you to be accurate on that in that conversation, correct? Yes. And you are accurate in that conversation, correct? To as much as I remember. Yeah. And isn't it true on that date you said that Ms. Jabbari was not making much sense on that phone call? What I meant was that, Ms. Blakey, did you say that or not? I said that. Control the witness. I like how she control. I like. I can see why Danny liked prayer. I can actually see why, because she's just firm. Can I explain? Can I explain? What will happen is Miss Galway, will be able to speak to your questions afterwards. That will be the redirect. That's the truth. It's important I explain that. You'll be asked questions on it. You could ask a question again, so you have no answer. Just answer this one, yes or no. Yeah. Do you want to ask it again, Miss Chowdhury? Yes. This is funny because I can kind of see that she's like, oh no. What did I say back? What have I done? Kind of thing. That's what I'm picturing in my head. But it's my opinion, Everyone has one. But anyway, Miss Blakey, isn't it true that during a phone call with the district attorney's office while you were discussing your phone call with Miss Jabbari on morning of March 25th, you said that she was not making mistakes? Yes, in a wider context. Yes, in a wider conversation. All right. So the answer is yes. And isn't it that's what it just said? And isn't it true that in a phone call you told the district attorney office that Ms. Jabbari was half asleep? Is that right? At times. And isn't it also true that you described Ms. Jabbari as hysterical? Is that right? I don't remember saying that. Ms. Blakey, isn't it true that Ms. Jabbari told you that there was blood on her pillow? Yes. And I'm referring again to the morning of March 25th. Is that right? I'm sorry, you have? Yes. And isn't it true that Ms. Jabbari told you that she had been scrappy with Mr. Majors that night? She had said that. And isn't it also true that Ms. Jabbari told you that she didn't know exactly how it happened? Yes. In that conversation was with Ms. Jabbari on the morning of March 25th. Did she tell you she had much to drink the night before? Objection sustained. I want to pause right here and just make this quick point because it's very important that I make this point. It's very important here because they learned the text messages because of the fact that Grace was not that Grace was basically not trying to tell the police, but she was also not sure of what she was telling to. And I'm glad, because to me this signals that they tried their best to at least clean up what was going on in the when the text was brought in. And I thought it's important to like sidebar here for a second, because her testifying that Grace was not even forthcoming to her, it shows that she wasn't trying to protect Majors, because again, we know what she did. She volunteered that he choked her. She said that he hit her and all those things, and she was scared of him. But here she was basically acting the same way that she was acting with the police, which wouldn't make sense unless that's who she really is. So I don't know, was she playing to the police and being real with Grace, or was she being real with Holly, or was Holly, or was she being real with the police and being fake with Holly? We don't know. So but I thought I share that part. So back to the I just thought I say that because it just seems peculiar to me. In that conversation, Miss Jabbari did not mention that to you that she had taken any sleeping pills, correct? Objection sustained. That must be hearsay. So Miss Blakey, you have testified about a number of phone calls that you had with Miss Jabbari on the 25th of March, correct? Non-verbal response. At any time did you look? Well, you could have just asked the question again. I wish you did. I wanted to know that. At any time did you look at the phone records to see the exact time and length of those calls? Objection. Did you look at your phone records? I looked through my WhatsApp messages, not my phone call records. I passed the witness. Thank you. That was a good cross-examination. So we're going to go straight to the redirect. It says, Ms. Blakey, what did you mean by Ms. Jabbari wasn't making a lot of sense? I meant her conversation was non-linear, that at this time, there was always subservience in a way going on to Jonathan. Subservience. That's interesting. I didn't see. Did you guys see subservience when she was chasing Jonathan down Manhattan? Flatbush. Did you guys see subservience? I don't know. Was I going crazy when I saw? That doesn't look subservient to me. But I'm just gonna read on. So he says, objection, characterization, judge moved to strike. The last sentence will be stricken. So I don't know what the last sentence was. I don't know because that's stricken, but subservience is here, so it's probably a lot more detrimental. Sorry. I mean, she says, sorry. I meant the conversation was non-linear. She was very emotional and upset. It doesn't always have always a structure that normal conversation would have obtained. It was all over the place. I like how Priya brought this in because it just threw her off course. I could tell just by reading it that she's trying to orient herself. Anyway, Ms. Galway's gonna say on cross examination, you were asked if Ms. Jabbari told you that she didn't know exactly how her injuries happened. Did Ms. Jabbari tell you who had caused her injuries? She said he had hurt me again. Objection, Your Honor, move to strike. Just ask that again. The last answer will be stricken because you could have asked, but you could ask it. Again, how the jury, okay, so I can see how friendships can bias someone. This is an example because, again, I don't know what you mean by hurt. I don't know what you mean by hurt. Grace Jabbari on the stand testified to Jonathan never being physically violent with her. This hurt needs to be probed further. So I hope they do a recross on this. So moving on, Ms. Jabbari withdrawn. Miss Blakey, did Ms. Jabbari tell you who had caused the injuries to her on March 25th? I could rephrase it. Would that be helpful? Can you please? I'm just conscious of not answering it incorrectly. You're completely fine. On March 25th, 2023, did Ms. Jabbari tell you who had caused her injuries? Yes. And who is that person? Jonathan. Nothing further. Okay. There was no recross. So I'll just take this opportunity to basically say thank you everyone for like, you know, being in the stream with me and rocking with me. Let me know how you guys are feeling in the chat. I'm gonna go to Grace Jabbari's testimonies now from the 5th of December. I believe that's when she was testifying. Holly was testifying. Let me try and get it up, the accurate time. Holly was testifying. Well, I don't really. What date was that? Well, she was testifying on the 8th of December. So Grace, this is for the 5th of December. So before we move on to Grace, direct exam. Thank you so much again for rocking with me. If you've made it this far because you clearly enjoying the stream, hit that like button. Please hit that like button. Hit that share button. Let grandma know. Let everyone in your vicinity know. Let Bigfoot know. Let everyone know. And of course, don't forget to subscribe for so that you can see more of the cases that we cover, as well as the other great content that we have to throw out on here. So I'm gonna go to the chat really quickly because Soundwave Protocols says it's informative. Thank you. No, it's all right, Soundwave. She says I'm scratching my head as to why Jonathan didn't testify. The reason Jonathan actually did say that the testimony was there was nothing more he could add in his interview, so that's why he said he didn't testify, which I can understand. Reading through all of this, even reading the report and reading through even Holly's testimony, it sounds like they testified for him. Like there was nothing more he could have really added, despite the fact that Jonathan did not testify, or all the legalities around that, what could have happened, etc. He did not really have to because of the information provided. What more could he have done outside of just opening himself up to being cross-examined on things that were not related to this case? What more could he have done? Nothing, because end of the day, Grace said, "Oh, I was going for the phone." Holly is saying Jonathan caused the injuries, but Grace, the highest that she said that Jonathan did was hit a blow to the head, choked, which is where the strangulation charge came from, but that was later dropped, but no one is talking about that. But everything that she was attributing to, this is from Grace. This is from Grace to Holly. So Holly wasn't there. Grace told him, "Oh yeah, Jonathan caused the injuries," but at the same time, Grace also told us that she was passed out in the bathroom, but you found her in the closet. She also told us that she had, but how did she end up passing out in the bathroom if she was on the phone to Holly for 2 hours, sorry. How? In and out, by the way, 20 minutes, always calling round the clock. But anyway, I just thought I made that clear because I don't think he didn't really have to, but he did explain why he didn't, and to me it makes sense from his perspective why he wasn't going to testify, or why he felt he didn't have to testify. So he says, so state your name and county of residence. It says Grace Jabbari, England United Kingdom. I can't do accents, so you're gonna have to use my British accent for reference point. So I am one of the free likes right now. Hope you get more. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for liking. Please guys, do like this. Do also share this stream with everyone that you know, so that we can so that you can please the algorithm, and hopefully more people can see this. So now we're going into Grace Jabbari's testimony. So the judge directs Ms. Jabbari, saying, Ms. Jabbari, good morning to you. Answer all the questions in a nice, loud, clear voice so everybody could hear you. If you hear the word objection, stop. Don't answer. Wait until I rule. Blah, blah, yada, yada, yada. The witness understood. There goes the direct examination. Good morning, Ms. Jabbari. Ms. Jabbari, can you introduce yourself to the members of the jury? Hi, Grace Jabbari. Nice to meet you. Pull that microphone. So something was wrong with the mic. So she's now bringing it. That was a judge instruction. Says, okay, I'm sorry, I'm a bit nervous. How old are you, Miss Jabbari? I said, I'm 30. So a bit of misinformation. I said 29 earlier. She's 30. So you currently reside in the United Kingdom? Yes, correct. Where in the United Kingdom? In London, in between London and Reading, where my parents live. Are you from the United Kingdom? Yes, I've been to Reading. It's a nice place. How long have you lived there? My whole 30 years, on and off. And your parents live in Reading? You said yes. Where's Reading? Just outside London, like 20-minute train. And do you have any siblings? Yes. It's a long drive there, I'll tell you that. It's not as short as she's making it out to be. It's actually a very long drive. It's actually very long to read. Well, it was long for me to get there, but how many siblings? 3. How old are they? My oldest sister is 33. Maybe I was taking the wrong route. Anyway, focus. All right. I hope I haven't. Sorry, my oldest sister is 33. I hope I haven't got that wrong. My younger brother. This is a test. My younger brother is 26, and my younger sister is 16. So she is charming herself. I can see that in this testimony. Do they live? Let me just share this stream while I'm here. I'm gonna just share it. Oh, okay. 1 second. Okay. So going back to I can't share it right now. Hold up. I'm just sharing the stream. Bear with me for a second. Now reading great. I need to find an easier way to do this. So yes, so we're gonna go back into reading this testimony now. Now that I shared that, okay, let's go back. So it says, the question from Ms. Galway says, do they live in the United Kingdom? No, my sister lives here in New York. What do you do for a living? I'm a professional dancer. Wait, your sister lives in New York. So why was Jonathan trying to sponsor? So Jonathan was trying to sponsor her. Why couldn't she use a sister then? Okay, maybe the sister is not a citizen. Jonathan is a citizen, so it's maybe that's why. I don't know. Maybe sister is a citizen. I don't know. But it's just that. Sorry, if you have family living already in New York, then it wouldn't make much sense for you to fight so hard. It wouldn't make much sense for you to be so distraught that Jonathan. I don't know. I'm blanking out on the detail, but anyway, moving on. What do you do for a living? I'm a professional dancer. How long have you been dancing? Since I was unprofessionally since I was 3, but professionally since I was about 19. And when you say professionally, what do you mean by that? Well, I trained in ballet mainly, so a few ballet schools, but ballet and contemporary dance. I work with multiple kind of UK-based dance companies, and then moved in working in film for musical artists, just like that. Things like that. Sorry. Can you tell the members of the jury about what training you received during your education? Yes, I went to just like a standard typical. Okay, let me zoom out a little bit. Yeah. Okay, so I think that's a little bit better. So I went to just like a standard typical church hall dance school when I was about up to the age of about 6, and then I got accepted with scholarship into this full-time school where I did my A levels. I don't know the American equivalent, but the exams you do before university. I I did them there as well as full-time dance training, and then after that I joined the school, the equivalent of a university called Rambert, which is a ballet and contemporary professional training school. Did you specialize in any sort of dance there? I then specialized. Well, we did ballet and like hone clean work and partner work every day, but mainly my preferred style was contemporary. My preferred style was contemporary dance, which is a bit more free. Yeah, the scope of what it is a lot more broad. It allows you to do more things than just wearing a tutu and going on stage. And what did you do after finishing your schooling? While I was in my last moments of school, I joined a company at the end. So I went straight from graduating into a professional company and taught a few months with a kind of contemporary dance show. I after that ended up signing to do a master's in contemporary art and dance, which I did alongside in working on more freelance projects. And that's what continued my career freelance. Shorter periods of time in a company, but I liked working with a range of different people basically. When you say freelance work, what do you mean by that? Meaning you're not signed up to a contract like this is where you're going to dance for 3 years. It's more like do this job. This is basically 3 or 4 months, and then what do you want to do next? Basically, you'll find it yourself. People come to you. It's more flexible. What kind of jobs did you do? The first of my career was mainly company tour work, touring, live shows. Yeah, which was like a process of rehearsal, go and learn, make the work, or learn something and that's already been made. And then your tour it, and then you tour it or do a few shows of it, and then kind of within that, I would start dancing with musicians or doing kind of shoots with brands when they wanted dancers. Yeah, so that was what I did. And then I started working in film where I would work with choreographers who were doing movement in films, and they wanted to say that there's a film with an actor who needed to do a big dance scene in the film, but they never danced before. They would get me in to make it on me. So when the actor came in, it was like an easier process of teaching them the dance as opposed to make them making it and then having to perform it. And then kind of through that avenue, I started working more in film, doing that stuff, dancing in the films and working with actors in the movement as well. Approximately how many films have you worked on? Excuse me? It's okay. I've worked on maybe, yes. Yeah, I worked on maybe, yes, 7, 8, 10. I don't know. Yeah, maybe about 10 films. Okay, and directing your attention to the August of 2021. What were you doing then? I was working on a film doing the movement direction. Yeah, it was Ant-Man, one of the franchise of the Marvel films. What was your role on the film? I was a movement director. I was given the job because my friend who objection non-responsive overruled. You could answer. Sorry, thank you. I was given the job as to assist a woman I had worked with within the context in. I said a minute ago about how about how she would get me to choreograph on me, and she needed an assistant for this because it was like a huge like so many extra costs and people and costumes when they weren't meant to be human. So it was working with hundreds of people, so she needed an assistant. So it was only meant to be 2 weeks, and so we came in and worked with her for 2 weeks, and then they asked us to stay and continue working on the whole film. So she had prior commitment, so I stayed in it on my own, more or less. The rest of the film to do the same thing. Where was the film located at? It was being filmed in a place called Pinewood in the United Kingdom. When working as a movement director, did you come to know to know a man by the name of Jonathan Majors? Yes. Did did you see Mr. Majors in the courtroom today? Your Honor, we stipulate to Mr. Majors' identity. All right. Do you see him? Yes. Judge indicating Mr. Majors. How did you come to know the defendant? Originally, I was introduced by the first AD, or AD. I don't know what that actually stands for, which is the first assistant director. Okay, that's what it stands for. So the director has a lot of assistants, and the first one is the one who takes charge of the set each day, and he just, because it was the first time on that particular set, just said, this is Grace, she's doing movement, this is Jonathan, and that was kind of interaction, just pretty much like, hi, nice to meet you. And the following day, I believe he was working on a scene where he was very active in the scene, but there were two people who I was working with to help with their movement, and they interacted with CGI which didn't exist. So yeah, so which doesn't exist. So you have to pretend. Sorry, she's saying that the CGI doesn't exist, so they have to do that. Yeah, anyway, moving on. So I was just helping the director, the kind of CGI people, to clarify their movement, and so that was a day where there was a lot of contact between, but not verbal, between me and Jonathan. So then in one of the breaks, he came over to me where I was stood just nearest the monitor and just kind of asked me what I was doing, why I was here. And I said, oh, I'm a dancer and I'm working on the movement. And then we started a conversation like that. Did there come a time when you got to know a bit better? Yes. So during the conversation, he was saying where he was staying in a place called Richmond. Oh, that's a nice area. That's a nice area in the UK, which is very well. It's the same place I went to dance schools. I went to dance school around there, which is like in between Richmond and Twickenham. So I said, "Oh, it's a beautiful area." Yeah, yeah. But you should go see the whole of London because I love London. And he said, "Yeah, that would be cool. Or you could show me." Go, you dog, you putting your game on. Anyway, it says, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, yeah. And then he kind of walked away, and I kind of, did he just ask me out? I'm not sure. And then later that same day, it says stylist at the time came over and slipped me his piece of paper. Was like, so I put it up, and it was his number. Guy is slick. I'm using that. If I have a hairstylist, I'm gonna have her do everything for me like this. Moving on. And then he came over to me and said, I'm going to hear from you later. And I was like, yeah. So I texted him and then we met. Objection to narrative. If you could follow up with questions. Sorry. Yes. So what did you do the next day? We went on a date after work in Richmond. So you said yes. Okay, that's established that. Where did you go on a date? A bar? Yeah, I can't remember the name of it. Okay. And how was the date? It was really great. Yeah, he was really nice. How did the relationship progress from there? Fast. It was like kind of, well, I think from that first day we spent every day together, maybe minus a few within the next few months. The guy was in London, he lives in New York. I can already see where this relationship was going. Let me not be cynical. Let me go to the chat really quickly. Soundwave Chronicle says, I know you won't cover this today, but might add a later stream, but it's crazy to me that the interview confirms how I feel regarding unjust conviction, yet anyone on the other side says it's not a good look. I personally thought the interview went well, but I'm going to go into a bit more detail should I decide to give my views on it on my channel. But I think he handled the interview quite well, the best way he knew how to handle it. He didn't scrutinize the evidence. He didn't try to justify his behavior in any way. He just took accountability. I thought that was the right way to go, personally. For those that haven't seen the interview, I'm going to I'm really considering reacting to it sometime soon, but I've done it with other people, so you can I should do it. I should do it. but I'm going to let people know. Anyway, it says I've subscribed. Thanks, Dr. Hines. I have to hit the road. Thank you for joining us, Soundwave Chronicles. But I'll come back and check out the rest of your streams. Thank you so much, Replay crew. If you're listening to this, thank you. You know, you're always welcomed. But I hope you do get some kind of insight from these streams, and you do derive some value from it. I'll do my best to like try and characterize a bit better so that you know who is who. Maybe I might have to really take up acting for real for this one. But yeah, I appreciate every single one of you. Make sure that you share this stream, like this stream. We don't have long left. I'm gonna try and speed through because I don't want this stream to go overboard. But yeah, like make sure that you like, share, and of course, do not forget to subscribe for more and more of the content that we have to throw up. I'm releasing the rest of the Depth V Heard interviews as well as the part 3 of the docuseries. So make sure you stay on the lookout for that. Soundwave Chronicles basically just said, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much, Soundwave. Enjoy your day as well. We also have super chat enabled on here. So if you feel like you've received some sort of value from this, you can consider tipping us, giving us a super chat. Let me know how you're feeling. It would really help the channel a lot. It could be £1, it could be £1,000,000, whatever you feel. Help. It would definitely help the channel out a lot. But no pressure. We're gonna get right back to the stream. And yeah, thank you so much again for tuning in and rocking with us. So we're gonna get right back to not the stream, sorry, the transcript reading of Grace Jabbari, and she is basically at this moment, she is laying down the foundation of how they met. Jonathan slipped the phone number. Then they went to a bar in Richmond. Jonathan was staying in Richmond. They, they were spending the day together, and they grew from there, as Grace is testifying to. So he goes on to say, and what was the defendant like during this period of time? Amazing, really kind and loving. He told me he loved me like very early on, which like I was overwhelming, but also I loved it as well. And I loved him, and it was just like he was so caring, like writing me poetry. And every time I left the house, I would get a little note, a handwritten note. Yeah, I felt very loved and cared for. I'm very seen. Felt like he understood me and I understand him, and there was nothing that we were. Yeah, I felt that. Karen Silva says, I can't get the images out of my head of her chasing him down the road like Linford Christie. I'm gonna try and at the near the end, I'm gonna try and find out who Linford Christie is, because I've never heard of that name before. But I'm definitely gonna put a pin on this, and I'm gonna go look for that name. I'm gonna go search who that is. But yeah, after you were done filming Ant-Man, did you continue the relationship? Yes. And were you respectively living at that point? So I was still in the UK, and he was going to do States. He was going to the States to start like kind of a big chunk of work on various films, and directing your attention to December of 2021. Did there come a time when you saw The Defendant? Yes. Where were you? We were between. It would have been Atlanta, I believe. Yeah. Do you live in Atlanta at that point? No. Were you in Atlanta to visit him? Where were you in Atlanta to visit him? Did there come a time when The Defendant became upset with you? Yes. Can you explain for the members of the jury what happened? So he has dogs, which I love, but I never met those dogs before, and they were our protective dogs, which is something that was important to him, to have protective dogs. So I was trying to understand what that meant, because he was like, you have to be this way when you meet them, so you can't put your hand up. They have to respect you. And he was kind of talking to me through it. I was like, oh my gosh, slow down. What do I need to do? And I said, only dog, objection here. Say it's overruled. Oh, go ahead. Says the only dog I had cats growing up, and the only dog I had a good relationship with was my ex-partners who got one when I was with him. I can see why many were confused with this way which was going with this. I can see why, because I'm like, why are you bringing this up? Anyway, was he aware that you had a previous dog? He was. Objection overruled. This must be hearsay. If you know, you can say it. Yes, he was aware. I added the aware part. Anyway, moving on. Have you ever spoken about that partner previously? Briefly, he knew that I had been with him. Yeah, yep. What happened when you met the dogs? Well, prior to meeting the dogs was when the mention of my ex and the mention of the dog was kind of what was when I kind of noticed that the anger that you were talking about where when he got angry at me, it was like, yeah, that was the first time he raised his voice to me. Nate the lawyer, welcome. Oh wow, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. He says, hello, Majors is a fool. Explain. I need clarification on this, Nate. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. I really appreciate you. I can't believe. If you don't know who Nate the lawyer is, he is a former assistant DA. So he was basically doing what Miss Galloway is doing here in New York at the time. Correct me if I'm wrong with that, but yeah, I don't know why you think Majors is a fool. He says send me the link. Send me a link. What to in regards to the transcripts, I can I will send you a link to the transcripts, of course. But I would like to know why you think Majors is a fool. Oh, it probably means the stream, right? Okay, 1 second. I did not expect this, but this is very I did not expect Nate to drop in like this. But let me just go to my messages right now, Nate. Okay. I think that's it. Yep, that's it. So yeah, Nate, you should have the link right now. But yeah, thank you everyone for joining us. I'm gonna go back to the transcript read. Not long left. I didn't want to stay too long on this. But yeah, so I think when Nate comes in, I will. Yeah, we're gonna talk about why Majors is a fool in a bit, but I do appreciate his super chat. So I'm gonna go back to reading Grace direct. She says, "Can you explain what the defendant was upset with you about?" Objection overruled. Let me quickly just go. Let me quickly just check my messages quickly. So Nate, I did send you the link. I'm not sure if you're sure if you received it. Should receive it. Yep, it's got it. All right. Should be all right. Oh, it's here. All right. Hello, Nate. How you doing? 1 second. You're going? Hold up. Go on.
Yes. All right. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Go on.
All right. What's going on? So you're reading the transcript of the direct and cross examination, huh?
Yeah. Of Grace Jabbari. So I just done Holly Blakey, her friend. We basically established that she was messaging Grace Jabbari from the hours of 8 a.m. Eastern to 10 a.m. 10:30 a.m. Eastern. As you remember, she was supposed to be unconscious when the police came in. That was on body cam. So from that, I was basically thinking, how did you get to a position that you're unconscious? But of course, your friend is testifying that you were on the phone with her and as well as texting her all this time. So how did you become unconscious, which was you could see on the body cam? So that's basically what's been established so far. So why do you think Majors is a fool?
I think, well, first I have to go back. I think his defense was ridiculous, and I think it was ridiculous because essentially his defense is I didn't assault her in a situation that obviously someone could reasonably believe it's an assault. All right.
Right.
Well, you know, I used to be a DA, right? I was a DA in the
Right, right,
Bronx,
right.
and I handle cases like this all the time. So the issue that comes down is that a lot of people. I'm gonna explain it in an analogy. Let's say we're talking about a murder case, and we said, you know, Jonathan Majors killed someone.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, you have to. He can either say I didn't kill her, right? I didn't kill her. I had nothing to do with it, or you can say self-defense. Now, what
Right.
self-defense means is that I killed her, but I was justified in killing her. So when you're ever talking about justification defenses or these defenses, you are essentially saying I did the crime, but I was justified in committing that crime. Jonathan Majors' defense in this particular situation was, I didn't commit the crime. That, I think, was a horrible mistake, because even in his interview that he did earlier, he said, I was in the car, she took my phone, we struggled for the phone, and then, you know, everything else happened. So everything that happened after the whole phone, after everything else in the car, is essentially irrelevant in the jury's minds, because the assault happened allegedly in the car. So Jonathan Majors had two options in his defense. He could say, I didn't injure her in the car, or he could say, I injured her, but I was justified in injuring her. And my justification would be Article 35, Section 20.25 in New York penal law, defense of property. In other words, you're saying, now in New York, you are allowed to injure someone if they've stolen your property. So if you're walking in the street, somebody rips your phone out your hand, and then you go and tackle them and get your phone back. And in the process of getting your phone back, they break their arm. New York says, okay, you are justified, because as long as you're trying to retrieve your property, but you can't kill the person, you can't stop the person. Now, it has to be reasonable, obviously. But if you're trying to retrieve your property from someone and you happen to injure them, then that's okay. You're good. But to get that defense, to be justified in that action, you have to cop to the injury. You got to say, I injured the person, but it was for this reason. I was justified in injuring. So when Jonathan Majors argued and his team argued, I'm more than positive his lawyer said, let's go with the justification defense. Let's say, because in his interview, like even here, we were arguing. I saw that she saw the message on the phone. She took the phone from him. He's trying to get it back, and that's where the fight happens.
Right.
Any reasonable doubt, if you're on the jury, is it reasonable for you to believe when she ripped his phone and she's taking his phone and struggling, and they're struggling in the back of the cab, could she have been injured?
No, I mean, based on looking at the CCTV and everything, not the way that Jonathan was doing it. I can't see it. So that's always left a kind of mystery in my head, or like, you know, let me boggle. Let me put it like that. Yeah, it's always left me wondering how they determine he injured in the car, especially when you even see her, like, you know, see her grabbing onto him as he was leaving, and he turns around, you know,
because
like,
but don't forget, you don't have to the injury, because don't forget, there could be multiple injuries, right? Scratches or injuries. See, the assault that she was, if there's a bruise, that's an assault. That's an injury, assault. So the injuries don't have to be so severe. They just have to be any injuries. So the fact of the matter is, if you have a 200-pound man struggling with a 100-pound woman struggling for an assault, you know, and they say, okay, you injured her during that struggle for the phone.
Right.
I think the jury can reasonably conclude that she was injured. So, and I think that's what the jury did conclude, that during that struggle for the phone, she was injured. And he was also injured. If you see, he had injuries. He was also injured too. So in that struggle, both of them are injured. Now, they both committed assaults, even though she wasn't charged. They both have committed reckless assaults. But now he has the utmost defense. Hey, she stole my phone, and the law allows me to grab my phone back. She doesn't have any, she doesn't have any right to my phone. She stole my phone, and I'm justified in injuring her. She wasn't justified in injuring me. But I think he thought about this as a career-ending thing and said, well, based on my career, I can't say that I injured her. So I'm going to say I'm a good boy and didn't injure her. And I think that's what lost him the case, because as soon as the jury came to the conclusion, that she's injured and he's injured in that car, they both committed cross assaults.
And I mean, it's actually very interesting because you were a former prosecutor yourself, so you've been in this situation. Have you ever done defense work, by the way?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Right. So you've most likely been in a situation where you've had to basically assess your client client as well. Have you ever been in a situation where your client has overruled your advice and gone their own way, or wanted their own way, or wanted the case argued their own way, basically?
Yes, I have. I've done it.
Okay, so
I've done. I've had issues, and they wanted to, but when that happens,
right?
And I think that's why I said Jonathan Majors is a fool. I'm thinking his lawyers. It's an easy win. I'm just going to let you guys. It's an easy win in New York. They had an easy win, but that easy win turned into a defeat because he wanted to stay clean and say, I didn't injure her. And the defense, you had to say you injured her, but you were justified. And I think that formalization of, hey, I got to save my career, that caused this. That's why he's guilty. But I think if he used the other one and was found not guilty, I think he's even better off. But I think he just didn't foresee the fact that they would find him. He thought that all the stuff that happened afterwards would be relevant, but it's not, because he even said he was injured in that fight. If you look at the interview today, he says personally, I was injured in that fight. And he's a 200-pound man. Do you think the 100-pound woman wouldn't also be injured in the fight?
Well, I mean, I can see why Priya was trying her hardest to actually establish why the injuries did not occur at the fight and occurred much later during after the fight, which I think she done a good job. But I do think Chloe coming in, which is the friend that was with Grace that night, and saying she did complain about her hand hurting, it does. However, this is the part I really want to get into, and I really want to see what was established, because it was also established that she ran into a wall. That was also on video. That was also on video. So I want to see if that was after, if that was before or after Chloe said that. Because if it was after Chloe said that, then after she complained to Chloe, then it makes no. Obviously, that means it must happen when it was with Majors. But if this was before, running into the wall before speaking to Chloe about the hand hurting, then I would say the jury messed up here, because that to me would be the mechanism that would have caused the hand injury, the finger injury would have been the wall, not Majors.
But I do need to understand this though. There were multiple injuries, right? It was the ear, the hand, and there was some bruising too.
Right.
In New York, just to let you know, if I slap you and your cheek is bruised, that is an assault. So you're right. You can explain that she ran into the wall and that explains the finger. What explains the ear? What explains the other bruises, right? Is it the running into the wall? You've given me one, but you haven't explained them all. Now, is it reasonable? Because don't forget, Jonathan Majors also has claimed that he's been injured. And he even showed the pictures on GMA this morning. I had a cut in my chin. I had this. I had that. He was all injured up too. Two people in a fight over the phone, in a car, wrestling over the phone. One guy says, I'm injured. And the other one says, I'm injured too. Right? I'm just asking you, if you're reasonable, you're on the jury.
Right. And
he's being charged with assault by injuring her during the fight for the phone. Would you find him guilty? I think if I was a juror, I would say, well, yeah. Matter of fact, he got hurt too. Well, if she was on trial, I would say she assaulted him. She's guilty too.
I mean, based on the fact that you did say that they didn't bring up the fact that he can defend himself, then yeah, I would. I listening to all the testimony and then trying to bring, it would cast a doubt. Sorry, not it would cast a doubt. It would make me look at the footage, the CCTV footage, and in the car, and wonder what was going on in the car that would have caused injuries to Grace. But again, but in my opinion, is where she was situated. Well, for one, I know that the expert did testify, according to Danny, who went into court every day. She did say that the defense expert did come and testify that it's not possible that the ear injury was caused by a blow. It wouldn't be possible because it would have been bleeding immediately, which of course, as you know, will leave residue in the car, etc. So that was enough, in my opinion, to at least cause doubt that this injury that is in her ear, in the absence of other testimonies as to what caused it, that should have been enough to be like, well, we can't attribute that to Majors because there was no blood found in the car, and there was, and this is me absent from, this is me not considering what Legal Bites had, established in the previous stream, which was that she spoke to an MD, and the MD told her that that injury was a shearing injury, which could be caused by friction, all those things. Like, all of these facts are out there, but in terms of what you're saying to me, I think there was enough doubt that it wasn't Majors that caused the ear injury, and I do really believe that they convicted him just on the finger, which to me is weird. But now, sorry, go on.
Even if I give you that, the finger, the ear,
you
still have the bruises. The fact of the matter is, and you still have the fact that he was even injured in that car.
Right.
So during the fight, they're wrestling for the phone during the fight. So I'm just asking you, as a reasonable person, Jonathan Majors was injured during a fight trying to get back his phone. She's clawing at him. He's clawing for the phone, blah, blah, blah. And eventually he does wrestle the phone from her, as she says.
Right.
Do you think it's unreasonable for her to sustain any injuries during that altercation? Any bruising, anything?
I don't, but if we're trying to clear doubt, you can't be wondering, well, he has injuries, so that must mean she has injuries also. And he was like, because could you explain how reasonable that would actually work here? Because I don't think they're clear.
What we're trying to establish is, first, was she injured and was he injured? She's saying I was injured in the car, right? Okay, how could those injuries occur? Well, they occurred during an altercation that we both had together. Okay, you guys had an altercation. What was the altercation? I grabbed his phone, turned around, and I wasn't trying to give it back, and he ripped the phone out of my hands, right? He physically overpowered me to grab his phone back. So now she's saying, during that overpowering for him to get his phone back, she was injured. She was bruised, her finger was injured, and her ear was injured. Now, you've told me about the bruises. You've told me about the things, but the law says any minor injury, cut, scrape, bruise, that all adds up to assault. You don't need to have them all. You just need to have one. So the jury said, okay, the finger, it could be the wall. Okay, this, maybe it could be this. But she still had the bruises. And they both said they were in a fight. He was injured. I think it's reasonable to believe, beyond a reasonable doubt, that during that fight, when he overpowered her to get the phone back, he likely injured her. And then the response from him should have been, yes, because I was justified because she had just committed a theft.
Get my phone. Yeah. Okay. No, I get that. So my next question is, and I'm glad that you're here because you have expertise in this. For the appeal, I want you to explain this to me because I had this question in my head. Is it? Do they have? Sorry, let me rephrase. Is it an inconsistent verdict in the sense that they had him for intentional harassment, but also reckless third-degree assault? Would that be an inconsistent verdict?
No, the verdict is inconsistent for another reason.
Oh, all right.
So the verdict is inconsistent, and I do think they have a viable appeal, and they could get a new trial. The reason why is, so first, it's called aggravated harassment. To be guilty of aggravated harassment in the state of New York, you need to be found guilty of harassment, which is essentially annoying someone or whatever, and then you have to be found guilty of a reckless assault. So it's harassment plus reckless assault equals aggravated harassment. The jury in this case found him not guilty of aggravated harassment, which is harassment plus reckless assault. But now the DA, they also charged him with those elements separately. So they said, okay, we're going to also charge you aggravated harassment, which is them both together, and then we're going to charge you with harassment as a charge, and then the reckless assault as a charge. So they found him guilty of the harassment separately and the aggravated assault. I mean the reckless assault, but they didn't find him guilty of the aggravated harassment, which is the same elements together. So it's inconsistent because in the same situation they said we find you guilty of aggravated harassment plus the reckless assault, but then we found you not guilty of the harassment and aggravated assault. So they found him guilty and not guilty of essentially the same crime. That makes it inconsistent.
Right. And the way you broke it down, it does sound like he does have a favorable prospect depending on the arguments that is put forward. So I gotta ask, in your experience of being an assistant DA, what is the procedure on putting together these charges? I mean, surely at one point you must be trying to say, well, we can't just go into these into trial, opening ourselves up to the jury picking one of the charges that are naturally inconsistent. So let's go for this charge. Maybe we don't go for intentional harassment and aggravated harassment and third degree assault, but we go for second degree. The other lesser charge of harassment, but keep the third degree. You know what I'm trying to say? Because if they found him not guilty, because if they found him not guilty of the aggravated harassment, then this next charge of the other harassment, or at least the reckless charge, should have been gone out the window. Because you know what I'm trying to say?
Yes. Well, the thing is that it could have been consistent. Let's say they found him not guilty of the aggravated harassment. Whatever aggravated harassment is harassment and the reckless assault. So we found him not guilty of aggravated harassment. But they said we're only going to find him guilty of the reckless assault and find him not guilty of the underlying harassment. So what they do is they give you kind of two bites at the apple. You may not say, all right, he's not guilty of both harassing her and assaulting her. He's only guilty of assaulting her, right? Or he's not guilty of assaulting her. He's only guilty of harassing her. So that's what they could have done. They could have just said they could have only found him guilty of assault. But the jury here, not knowing that they would make it inconsistent, said we're going to find him guilty of harassment and assault, but then aggravated harassment, which is harassment and assault, we're going to find him not guilty of. So it's and that's sometimes what happens because the jury doesn't know that hey, guess what? These are exactly the same thing.
So, based on the lack of, I don't know how to ask this one because I don't know if it's something that a judge can step in and be like, maybe you shouldn't bring these kind of charges in. If can the judge do that? Can the judge step in?
This is, it's appropriate for you to do this because sometimes they may because what allows the jury to do is say if you believe she harassed her and he assaulted her together, that's a stronger charge. It's aggravated harassment. But if you believe he only harassed her or he only assaulted her, then you could charge this the lesser offense. And the jury here chose the lesser offense. Hey, he only assaulted her, but they also said he harassed her. So that's what kind of makes it inconsistent. They're like, what, well, that now makes this thing kind of crazy. So I think he does have a viable appeal, and I think his appeal, if it goes all the way through, the court will go back and say, well, you got to do a new trial because he can't be not guilty and guilty of the same crime. That doesn't make any sense. And then I believe if you have another trial, he goes in and says, guess what? I was justified in
he has to. That must be, I mean, for that to even happen, that is some Hail Mary from full of grace, the Lord is with thee kind of thing. Because if he gets another bite at this, do you think, be honest here, because of course we know what he has to do, but do you think he would actually do that and go and plead self-defense the second time around? Or do you think he will stick with, no, I did not do anything based on this, etc.?
There would be no reason to appeal then. There'd be no reason to appeal. If you don't go with the justification defense, there'd literally no reason to appeal because you're going because the fact of the matter is any reasonable juror is going to say she was injured in that car. That's The only thing you got to get to, it doesn't have to be the finger. It doesn't have to, it could be any bruise, any heart, anything that happens in that car that shows any physical injury. The bruises. You talked about the finger. You didn't talk about the bruises at all, right? So if a reasonable jury can say, well, she was bruised, she was bruised in that car.
Right.
Game over. Game over. You're convicted again. But if you're justified, then it all goes away like a fart in the wind. Because she says she took your phone. You say everybody says she took your phone. You tried to get it back, and the law says you are justified in trying to get your property back as long as it's reasonable. Now, if they say it's unreasonable what he did, but nobody believes that he's unreasonable. He ripped the phone from her hand. That's what she said. Her finger was broken. Okay, well, that's your fault because you took his property.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much. I'm gonna read. Thank you so much for explaining that. I'm gonna read this chat. Katt says, I agree that that's a possible route, but also think trial strategy was impacted by the judge saying defense could ask about the arrest, but they shut down. Oh, about the arrest. Sorry, but then they shut down the detective's testimony. So So I think what she's referring to here, because Detective Mejia, who arrested Grace Jabbari and was questioning her in regards to the assault to Majors, he was meant to testify to Majors' injury, but they kept objecting to his questions, and they didn't really get much out of him. Why do you think that would be the case? Like, why was there so much objections coming in? And I appreciate you haven't seen the transcripts to understand the questions that was being asked, but what could be the possible reasons why not a lot of information was shared by this detective in regards to Major's injury allegedly inflicted on him by Grace Jabbari?
Well, two things. Majors wasn't arguing a self-defense. He wasn't arguing self-defense. So why would that even matter? He's not arguing self-defense.
So you're saying if he did argue self-defense,
all that matters. All that matters now. But if I'm not arguing self-defense, then what the hell does it matter? It's irrelevant, right?
So the judge did not actually err. He was just.
He's not saying I'm not. What was Major's argument? Was it I was in a fight and she was injured during the fight and I was justified, or was it I didn't injure her at all? I don't know what they're talking about. Right. Which one was it? He said I didn't injure her at all. I didn't know what he's talking about. So what the hell does it matter if you're injured or not? Right? What does it matter? If you're arguing self-defense, yeah, I was injured. You see, she hit me. That's that I'm defending myself.
That's why so she did injury. All right.
Listen, I have to run go pick up my daughter.
No, I appreciate you. I appreciate you for dropping by.
But does that make sense though?
Yes, it does. It does.
If you're not arguing self-defense, then what does it matter? Okay, she slapped you, but you're not saying that was the reason why any of this happened. Okay,
right? No, I appreciate
you got to make those, and that's what. So everybody understands too. This is why they call it an affirmative defense. An affirmative defense is saying, I did the crime, but I was justified in doing it. So an affirmative defense, like same thing with copyright, fair use. Fair use is what's known as affirmative defense. I've used your work, but I'm legally justified under copyright. I killed this person, but I was legally justified because I was defending my own life. I assaulted this person, but I was legally justified because they were taking my phone. And then when they asked Jonathan Majors, he says, I was injured. Okay, why does that matter? Because you're not arguing that you were defending yourself. You were just arguing that. Matter of fact, what was he arguing? He's arguing that he didn't do anything.
Yeah. Okay. Oh well, I'm really happy that you dropped by and gave us that little bit of insight, because I was wondering why a lot of the objections were going against Majors like that. I didn't quite understand, but now I get it, because it would have been prejudicial, not prejudicial, but prejudicial to the prosecution's case.
Essentially, it would be irrelevant. If you're not arguing self-defense, then why are you arguing self-defense? That's a self-defense argument. Right, why are you arguing self-defense? If he says, "Hey, I was in a fight," and blah, blah, then okay, you got a self-defense argument. He's not arguing self-defense. He's arguing that it didn't happen.
Right. Okay.
I can't sit there and argue self-defense, and then I can't sit there and argue for a murder case. I didn't kill the person, but
and then
it's
at the same time, Yeah.
but look, self-defense.
I ain't kill a person, but it was
Yeah.
but the blood on me. Oh no, that was self-defense.
Yeah, that was self-defense. Yeah.
I get what you're coming for. I get what you're coming for.
It's like, no, if it's self-defense, that means you killed them. Well, no, it's got to be one of the two. So, but listen, let me run before my wife kills me so I can jump
one last question before you go. I didn't see this one. Flavio says, is self-defense a possible grounds for appeal?
No, because you have to raise it. See, that's the thing with self-defense. You have to say, I did it. You have to say, I did it, but I'm not guilty because the law allows me to do it. He didn't say that. He said, I didn't do it. So now you can't go and appeal and say, well, guess what? I actually did do it. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way. You're supposed to argue that before.
Well, we did establish you did it, but
yeah. Well, that's the reason why they convicted you. Next time, argue that below. Next time, argue that below. But here, he could say the verdict was inconsistent. They go back down and says, guess what? I injured her, but obviously it's because she took my phone.
No,
this is an easy win. This is an easy win, but again, he tried to save a Marvel career. Now he's got nothing. Right. So now I think he goes back and tries to argue it again. I think I think justice he should be fine. But listen, let me go because I definitely have to run.
Thank you so much for dropping by.
All right. Huh? I said we'll definitely talk for sure.
Yes, 100%. Thank you for dropping by. Have a great day. Yeah.
All right, brother. We'll talk.
All right. See ya. All right. That was Nate the lawyer. Dropping by. Whoa. Okay. Sorry, sound. I know. Sound. Please don't get at me. Sound was off. I know. Thank you so much. But yeah, that was Nate the lawyer. Dropping by to basically give us a bit of insight. Did not expect that, but I did like that little insight, that little tidbit that he gave us to maybe understand a little bit as to a lot of the objections that was going on in court in regards to testimony of the drunkenness of all those things. Because it does seem like if he did raise self-defense, then yeah, her being drunk would be, it would go to her state of mind, to speak to why he had to defend himself, why he had to keep the phone. It does actually make a better sense now, because if he did go for that defense, a lot of things will come in. Blues House says Nate always brings the realness. I didn't even know that you know about Nate. But yeah, no, he's very knowledgeable. I interviewed him for the Depth V Heard docuseries that I done. I'm going to be releasing a lot of these interviews coming up. So yeah, again, hit that subscribe button so that you can see a lot of the content that we are throwing up. I'm going to read the last part of this because I'm going to end in like 4 minutes. I don't want to make this stream too long, but I did not expect Nate to tune in, so I'm gonna read for an extra 10 minutes. So we're gonna be finishing around, well, it's 11:05. I'm trying to finish here, which should be, if I'm not mistaken, 11:05 would be Eastern, 6:05. So we're gonna try and finish at 6:05, 6:10, because just to get this part of Grace Jabbari's testimony out of the way. So we're gonna go into it. Yeah. So Grace Jabbari basically says, "Oh, so I could have, yeah, okay. So Grace Jabbari basically says, sorry, not Grace Jabbari. Going back, orienting myself. Galloway, ADA Galloway basically says, can you explain what the defendant was upset with you about? Objection overruled. Just the mention of the ex. He was upset about the ex. Okay, how dare I mention him? How dare I talk about his dog? Like, I'm talking about physical appearance of my ex, talking about how it's embarrassing for him that I dated him and he has to live with that, and I should know that's not okay, and I shouldn't mention him. His dog is pathetic, all this kind of stuff, but in a raised vocal tone. This sound made up. I'll be honest. What was she hoping to? Let me not cause judgment yet. So he says, when you say raised vocal tone, can you explain what that means? Shouting at me. Where were you when this conversation took place? I was sat on the sofa and he stood over me. And how did this impact you? It was the first time I felt scared of him. And how, if at all, did that change your behavior? I just knew never to mention my ex again and never mention anyone I kind of dated before. All right. Is that the end of that incident? Yes. I think she exaggerated. Yeah, if this conversation happened, I don't think it would have happened like that. I think it would have been, look, I don't appreciate us talking about about exes, But again, I don't know how he went to that. If they were talking about dogs, but anyway, he's trying to say that Jonathan is a jealous person. So let's move on. So he says, the judge says, so ladies and gentlemen, you just heard about an incident that Ms. Jabbari testified happened between her and Majors in December 2021, and that evidence that is not offered and must not be considered for the purpose of proving that the defendant has a propensity or predisposition to commit the crime charged in this case. It's offered as evidence for your consideration as background information. If you find the information is or evidence is believable, you may consider it for that limited purpose, but and for no other purpose. So this was what Danny was talking about in terms of considering the evidence. But at the same time, again, I don't know. Why would you say this? So they can consider it as evidence of background information, I guess, but not other purpose. So basically what I can understand from this, would mean that you can look at this evidence, but you can't use that to determine his guilt. So it's limited in that sense. Maybe that's how so you can be like, okay, cool, you could have done that, but he's not guilty of this crime of here. So I don't know. So anyway, directing your attention to June of 2022. Did you have any plans this month? Yes. What were they? Same every year. Me and my friends go to a music festival called Glastonbury. Where was the music festival at? It's in the UK. How long have you been going to the music festival? About 10 years. How long is the festival? It's about 5 days long. And what do you do at the festival? It's really huge. The whole place gets considered as a religion itself when it's there, and there's different activities, loads of different musical acts. It's like yoga, everything, food, and pretty much my whole social friends and extended friends like people go, so it's like a nice thing to do. What, if any, conversations did you have with the defendant before going to the festival? I kind of pre-warned him that because he was so densely populated with people, the signal is not very good, and we spoke a lot, obviously, not being in the same country, so we spoke on the phone every day multiple times and would text really frequently. So I just had to warn him, I'm not going to have great signal. I'm going to try and send you texts, but it's not, we won't be able to have this ease of conversation, basically. And was the defendant responsive to this? Yeah, he was aware of it. And he said, just try if you can, but he understood I was going. Did you go? Yes. What happened while you were at the festival? I had no signal on my phone. I'm going to need a tissue. Sorry. Take your time. I'm going to need it. So she must have been sneezing at this time or whatever. So anyway, goes on to say, I had no service on my phone. What would happen is in the evenings when everybody's asleep, the service would go through. So some texts would go through. But ultimately there was no service. I would text him off my friend's phone because some of them had better service than I. But yeah, did you receive any messages from the defendant? Yeah. What was the tone of those messages? Not very nice. Can you explain what you mean by that? Just that I shouldn't be there, and out there I go. This is really important week for me, and you should have turned around and left, basically. And I said, oh, should I leave? Is that a conversation you had while you were at the festival? At the festival, it was kind of slow and back and forth. Like, I love you. I'm here. I'm safe. I'm trying to get hold of you. I need you. And it would just say that this is really upsetting, but like, yeah, sure, have fun. Yeah. I don't know. Is it just me that feels like this is not Major's character? Is it just me that just feels like this is not what she's trying to paint him as? I don't know. They were intimate. I don't know. I don't know Majors like that, but based on his reaction at the TIFF or Toronto Film Festival, based on his reaction there, I don't think don't think he cares that much, because like I said, he didn't want Grace there at the film festival. If you saw the video, I wish I had the video. Damn, let me show the video. I'm gonna close out on this because I will pick this up on page 39. But I'm gonna close out. Let me try and find the video. Because I think Danny posted it. So this was his reaction at TIFF. Let me try and find it. Yeah, okay. So TIFF is, for those that don't know, TIFF would be the Toronto Film Festival. So this was the this is the video of the Toronto Film Festival, where, and thank you Pam for actually providing this video in a stream earlier with Dre Mac. But basically, this was, let me try and play the sound of that. So basically, this is, yeah. So
absolutely,
it was on. Is it did on screen?
Absolutely, definitely.
So as you see there, look at that, look at that. Like, he's there. They didn't take any pictures yet. Look. She's just there. They didn't take any pictures. She was like, May just told her to go, and then all of a sudden she sees their pictures, jumps in, and then be like, oh, let's take a picture. Bearing in mind, you can see he's there. He's like, you can see, look at you can see May just gesture to her to go, and all of a sudden see the camera, bang, takes a picture. Again, I'm looking at this and I'm like, this is not the body language of someone that wants her there or anything like that. Based on what I'm seeing, it doesn't.
People, great actors. I learned so much from them. I mean, to be in the same room and to be a part of a project like this is what you want. That's what it's all about.
Hello, Jonathan. How you doing?
What's up, girl?
You know, just chilling. Just a little devotion going on. How are you feeling?
I feel like $1 million. Really calm. Really just
really shell shocked.
Gratitude.
Really shell shocked. That's what you are. But the reason why the reason why I had to go there is because how do you go from clearly he did not want to be seen in public with her. I think that's clear. And I'm not even being rude by saying that. I'm literally just going by of the of the transcript, and then we're gonna close out. So basically says so he says, and you mentioned the defendant said that it was important to him. What about that week was important to him? Objection overruled, if you know. So he says yes, he was filming a film that week and he had to get like his body in a certain place. He was becoming a bodybuilder. He was just quite stressed. That must be Creed, because it was the first film he was producing and he was leading in it. Must be Creed, and it was a stressful week for him. And you said you were able to get in contact. So again, this is what I'm trying to say. This is the same week, by the way, that he apparently did not want her to be at the festival. Oh, did you hear what I had to say? Oh, damn. Please tell me you heard what I had to say. Oh, damn it. Please tell me that you heard what I had to say before. But damn it, I hope that it didn't mute there, because I just noticed that it was mute for a bit. But I'm reading this and I'm thinking to myself, how do you go from I was at a festival, he was telling me to go from the festival, and he then say, oh, he was busy that week, and he was really stressed, and this was his first major movie. Well, which one is it? Like, was he telling you? Never mind. Again, I don't know anything. So moving on. Yeah, like the communication wasn't fluid, but ultimately, yeah, some texts would go through, and my friend's phone went through. We also bumped, and I bumped into one of his friends, and I was there, and I said to him, "Oh my gosh, I can't get hold of him. Can you send him like just a picture of me, and so he knows I've seen you and I'm okay." Okay, and what happened next? From the messages, that he was quite upset with me, and I was just wasn't really enjoying it fully, because I just felt guilty just for being there, so I left basically. Why did you feel guilty? I just felt bad. Like, he obviously felt like he needed me, and I felt like I shouldn't have gone, and I wasn't as much fun as I wasn't having as much fun as I normally did. So I just thought, I'm just going to leave. What happened after you left? As soon as I got into like further out, I drove. So when I drove back, I stopped in like a service station and tried to call him and text him and try to contact him basically, and said, I'm out of it. Like, I have service now. I'm here. Did you get in contact with the defendant? At that point, he wouldn't answer the phone, but I did text him. Were you eventually able to get in contact with the defendant? Yeah, he would send some texts. What was the substance of those texts, if you remember? Yeah, like he just said he was like so disappointed in me. How dare I? He thought he could trust me with our relationship. With the fact I went was just embarrassing. Like, you're out there drinking with your friends, and you don't care about me, and like, I'm having a really hard week, and you shouldn't have been there. You should have known to turn around as soon as you got there, and there was no signal. There's a reason why no one reported on this. I mean, if this was the DA's case and the media, it makes sense why no one was, because it doesn't make sense. Like, it makes sense now, because I never read this. Like, I never read this. This would be Alvin Bragg's pattern of abuse going on here, but this wasn't reported. So I'm wondering why. It doesn't sound plausible, first and foremost. Like, it sounds over the place. But moving on, this was all in response to not being able to communicate with him. Yeah, and you said the defendant wasn't answering his calls. Yes, correct. So we're gonna adjourn right there. I'm gonna continue on page 41 on Wednesday, and we're gonna go through this. And the reason why I'm going through on Wednesday is because I'm going to be releasing a lot more interviews to do with Deb V. Heard. So I'm going to do that. I am also trying to set up a stream for tomorrow as well to discuss the ABC interview. Hopefully, I will get the right guests on board to really discuss this, or it will be by myself. But nonetheless, I thank you, every single one of you, for being here and rocking with me. Thank you, everyone, for sending your super chats, and I also thank Nate the lawyer as well. I will provide his link in the description. I thank him so much for the impromptu drop in. Sana Deck just joined. Thank you so much, Sana, for joining. But unfortunately, the party is over. I'm going to end the stream right about now. But replay crew, of course, that is Sana. He can lead the replay crew. You can lead the the commentary while I'm away for replay crew. But thank you so much for everyone that's joined. What's up to Sana, and what's up to everyone? I hope you guys have a great evening. Well, in the UK that is, but in the US it's most likely it's going into evening, so I guess it is evening as well for you guys over there. But if you're in California, etc., or in Australia, etc., it's probably just afternoon for you. So good afternoon. Hope you guys have a great day. I'm going to close out the chat, and once again, Before I do that, hit the like button, hit the share button, share this stream with all your friends. Let everyone know so that people can come and find the content that I do on here, because we cover legal cases, nothing but legal cases, social commentary as well. We do other shows like Two Girls, a Guy, and the Tea, where I assemble a panel and we talk about so many topics that are going on in the manosphere, for lack of better words. I actually don't know, in the current cultural climate, which is range from dating to trans and all those, anything that is basically happening right now, we talk about it and we give our 2 cents. It's kind of a break from covering legal cases. But so anyway, if you like content like that, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you let your friends know about what we do on here. And thank you so much for tuning in. Take care of yourselves. Have a great day or great night. Take care. Bye-bye.